Good afternoon. My name is Bella with this, and my YouTube channel is Heart to Heart Healing and Wellness. So today's inspirational quote is quote 112. Today is April 22nd, 2026, and it's from the 365 Days with Source by Elliott Jackson. All right, so I'm gonna read the quote today. Always show compassion, justice, humility, kindness, and positive actions and behaviors in all you do. It is the way of a master. Okay. So let's reflect a little bit about that. And I have, for some reason, I've always been compassionate to others because I was raised in an upbringing very poor. There's 8 brothers and sisters. We have 5 sisters and 3 brothers. So, of course, for my parents, it was difficult, to provide for 8 kids. So anyway, as the compassion that we should have for others, I am recalling a time when it was back when I used to live in Manhattan, and at that time I already had a job. I was able to purchase my own things and stuff like that. So one day I come across this homeless guy, and it was raining so hard. And he is like drenching wet. And then I'm like, I felt sorry for him. I said, "Are you okay? Is there anything that you need?" He said, "Yes, it would be great if I could get a little tent, one of those tents that you put up, so that I could have shelter from the rain." He didn't put it exactly that way, but that's what he meant. And I remember I said, "Well, I have a little extra money." So I walked all the way with him to the store where they sell the tent. I walked all the way to the store and paid for the tent. And then he went in and we walked back, because he lived around the project where I used to live. And he was so grateful, even that little show of compassion and kindness made a big difference to that homeless guy. So he was able to build up his tent and shelter himself from the rain. So that type of compassion that we're talking about, even little things. I mean, sometimes you can't afford to give a homeless or another person, but sometimes just a word of kindness does so much to someone. And having that compassion, even if you see somebody on the street, and you see like they have that worry face and stuff like that, just a little smile, they'll look up and they're like, "She's smiling, why is she smiling?" And that lighten up a little bit. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. So I'm going to give you another example of the compassion you have for others. One day I was at the store here in the Bronx. Is in the Bronx here in Broadway. So I live in the Bronx by the Broadway 230 or something like that. And so I'm at the store, and and I know what that is, because I know I came out poor, like things, and I see this African family. It was a mother, and she had about 3 kids. And so I'm seeing her looking at the groceries, right? So she's looking at the groceries, and you could tell she's even counting the pennies to get basic things that they needed, maybe like a little peanut butter or like bread. So me being compassionate, because that's the way we were when we were young. There's 8 brothers and sisters, and my mother and my father, they had they try hard to provide for us. So I saw that, and and she's struggling, and like the kids, you could see the kids, they want a little candy, but of course the mother is not going to pay for candy when they need the basic food. So as I see that, I was able to just go to the cashier, and then I pay for the whole thing. I pay, and then she looks at me and she looks so surprised, but at the same time so grateful. And that little action of kindness and compassion made a whole big difference for that family, right? So stuff like that, like, let's be kind to each other, aware, and there's something that you can do. Sometimes you really can't do anything, but little things like that mean so much, to be compassionate and kind to one another. Yeah, so that's my take on when I hear be compassionate to yourself and others. So yeah, and what kind of compassionate have you? How did you show compassion? Leave it in the comment. And again, guys, my deepest desire is for all of us to have peace and love in our heart. All right, so have a good afternoon. Thank you.